it was only a precursor to what we have today. We could hear the wind howling around us all night long last night, and it did not stop. When we got our morning start this morning, it was blowing harder than ever. I'm sure that all of you people in North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, and all those flat areas around here are used to this wind, and it doesn't mean a whole lot to you, but to us, this is a big deal. And the reason I don't think it's a big deal to you guys is because I've been in about, I'd say 5 or 6 small towns now where a tornado siren went off while I was in the town. As soon as the tornado siren went off, I'm looking up, checking the sky, making sure we're clear, wondering what I'm gonna do. Nobody else we saw on the street anywhere seemed like they could care at all that that siren was ringing out. So go ahead and go into the comments and let me know if those tornado sirens mean anything to you guys here, because from what I can tell, they really don't unless that thing's actually touching down on the ground. For today's route, we have another 400-mile day to cover. We started out of Waterton and we've made our way to Redfield. This is the first time that we've had even the smallest break in the wind. Hopefully it'll die down a little bit today, but I'm betting that's not going to be the case. I think we're going to have a cold, windy day all day today, and that's just the way it's going to be. But with a little bit of luck, maybe it'll be a little better tomorrow. If not, we're going to be geocaching either way, because you know the weather's not going to stop us, unless maybe one of those tornadoes come down, and then we'll put a pause on this thing. So let's see what the southeastern corner of South Dakota has in store for us. Come on, let's go. Right outside of Watertown, our first stop of the day was actually the Veterans Memorial in Flatiron Park in Clark. At this point, the wind was way too crazy to even think about talking in front of a camera though. Unlike many other Veterans Memorials we've seen, this one does not feature statues. Instead, it features the most essential documents to the establishment in the United States of America. The Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights are located on the exterior of the display, while the center focuses on the United States Constitution, the document that we all solemnly swore to protect and defend. And seeing there was a recently published new free library geocache just down the road, we couldn't help but go take a look inside a book. Libraries and little free libraries always rank high on my list. We popped into and back out of many small towns today. Although most of these towns were not heavily populated, rarely featuring a population over 1,000, they each had something to offer along the way. And after days spent driving through no man's land, any town is a win in my book. The city of Faulkston, for example, the county seat of Falk County, features a population of around 830. But don't let their small size fool you. They pull you into town with amazing murals right from the start. 3 out of 4 sides of this tower are painted up with amazing artwork. It's already incredible to think about artistry at this level, but then to think about doing it at these heights and scales, it would take a real skilled rodeo cowboy to get up there and make this happen. This town is also more affectionately known as the Carousel City. Built in 1925 by the Parker Company, the Faulkston City Carousel was purchased by Bob Ketterling in 1981, who gave free rides to children until his death in 1988. After his passing, the city purchased the carousel from his widow and still operates it in his memory to this day. This is one of those small towns that feels a whole lot bigger than it actually is, with a lot of history and a lot to do. Unfortunately, since I failed miserably at finding the geocache in Faulkston, I had to make a 30-minute detour to get out to the wind energy farm as well. And what a day to be farming wind energy. Highmore, with a population of around 800, was another quick pass-through for us, but once again, we spotted a Veterans Memorial and knew we had to pull off and take a look. The city of Highmore advertises itself as a place where you can surround yourself with wide open spaces and enjoy an outdoor enthusiast's paradise. I agree with their assessment that this town has friendly people, great hospitality, and a family-friendly atmosphere with unlimited opportunities. But it was the city of Huron, the largest city that we visited today, that really captured our attention. Boasting a population of around 14,000, this is the 8th largest city in the state. Whether visiting for the South Dakota State Fair, hunting season, or just want some of that Midwest hospitality in action, Huron is the place to be. Huron rests along the beautiful James River in an area steeped in natural history. It's this rich history and passion to make every day a brand new day that has made Huron a growing destination for travelers and for those looking to find a home with a perfect balance of modern and small town life. The murals scattered all around town, on the tops of buildings, behind alleyways, and prominently on some of their largest buildings give you an insight into some of the history of this big town. My personal favorite was Land Rush, which tells the story of the establishment of the U.S. Land Office. The first day the doors opened, settlers were lined up around the block to stake their claim on lands in the area. Land Rush also gained a few points since it was located directly in front of the Veterans Memorial as well. This memorial consists of 5 granite blocks, 4 of which list the individual wars and the names of the Beadle County veterans killed in each of those wars. The central block consists of a taller piece of granite with an inscription etched in the granite and a flying eagle on its top. The fact presented about the dogs who served in war was a hard pill to swallow, though. During the Vietnam War, German Shepherds and Labradors were trained and used in the field to sniff out snipers and alert soldiers to tripwires, booby traps, and Viet Cong. Despite these dogs' heroic service and contribution, only 200 of the 4,000 dogs that served returned to the United States. At this time, the dogs were considered equipment and used until they succumbed to a combat death or were euthanized at the end of their term of service. Although not nearly as ostentatious as so many other courthouses we've seen, I really did enjoy the courthouse here because of the cannon it featured on the front lawn. Well, more specifically, I enjoyed the cannon because of the geocache that it featured. It took more than one circle around this thing to finally figure out what's going on. At first I thought I was dealing with a nano, but it was so much better than that. Well played. We definitely spent more time in Huron today than anywhere else we stopped through, but it was obvious to see why. Every time we thought we were on our way out of town, we spotted a new mural on the side of another building and had to stop off to take a look. When you're fascinated by local artworks, this makes it very difficult to get anywhere in a hurry. But eventually, we did finally make it down to the James River. This spot featured a fantastic earth cache that taught us about the natural development of the landscape and a wonderful view between these 2 bridges. But the best part of all was the mass of flathead catfish swimming upstream. If you look carefully along the water's edge, you can see that these waters are teeming with these flathead catfish, just making their way up and up. It was really quite the sight to see. And of course, we saved the best for last. Just up the road from the James River access, you can find this 2-part mural underneath one of the world's largest what? Are you ready for a world's largest? I know I am. Today we'll be serving you up the world's largest pheasant. Standing at 28 feet and weighing in at 22 tons, this gigantic pheasant has established Huron as a premier hunting location since 1959. There's just time enough today to visit one more small town, Arlington, the South Dakota Community of the Year winner in 2010. And really, is there a better way to greet new visitors to your town than giving them a mural that not only shows your city's name, but all of its history packed into each of the letters? A very impressive piece of art. Formally dedicated in 2013, the Veterans Memorial in Arlington features 8 life-size statues, 12 granite benches, 9 flagpoles, and 4 black granite tablets listing over 1,000 names of veterans from Arlington or those who have had ties to the community. It's really interesting when you think about the fact that only one of these towns we featured today has a population over 1,000, but all of these towns have a Veterans Memorial to show their support for the troops who have laid down their lives for our country. Some geocaches are definitely more fun than others. Aichun always lives by the motto, we keep geocaching until the cows come home. And once the cows come home, we're done. Well, travelers, that brings a close to another great day out here in South Dakota. And today actually turned out pretty scenic. We passed through a lot of towns today. They weren't very big. Most of the populations were in the triple digits, but they all had their own little displays, their murals, their veterans memorials, and just those good classic small town feels. And there were a lot of them. You can tell that the southeast portion of this state is much more populated than the northwest portion that we covered earlier. From here, we've reached the bottom of our route where we start pushing west again. We know we're not going to have enough daylight to make it any further than here, but we should have no problem finishing the last of those miles tonight. From here, it's all really quick roads and they should just move one after another. What we were really glad for is that the wind finally died down. It's been going heavy all day long, but it's finally given us a little bit of a break to appreciate this view out over the field behind us, and probably a good sunset coming up as well. Hopefully the wind will stay down that long. We got a few more days here in South Dakota, and we're looking forward to whatever other gyms it has in store for us. Like this video, subscribe to stay tuned for daily updates, and we'll see you out on the trails.